resolutions. On that occasion, I had urged, and I wish with your permission, to add another prayer. That we summon the Chief of Army Staff and the Chief of Air Staff and even the National Security Advisor. I think that motion by themselves don't bite. They came here, they assure us they can secure the country, and like every speaker, one speaker after the other, we've all agreed that nothing much is changing. Resolutions will change this situation. We need to bring them back here. I limit myself to Army and Air Force because I don't think this is a problem of the Navy. I'm not also sure that the police that cannot protect our roads, as a result of which you have soldiers, that putting a barrack there will be enough. I just want to add that to show the seriousness of these hollow chambers, under your leadership, that we summon the Chief of Army Staff and the Chief of Defense Staff and the Chief of Air Staff and the IGP to tell us why we should not hold them responsible for these killings. If somebody spent 3 days in Plateau and he had the kind of information that Senator Nigi shared with us, and every other person, it shows that there was proper planning. You can't carry out that level of planning in secret and it doesn't leak. If civilians are aware, how come that those who are paid to secure are not aware? We need to let them know that we are paid, we are angry with them for failing in their duties. They need to know that each time in Nigeria is wasted, we owe the security agencies responsible, and there must be consequences on their part. Nigeria doesn't owe anybody a job. They owe us a duty to perform the job that they have asked for. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
My name is Senator Dr. Titus Tengezam. I represent the good people of Benue Northwest Senatorial District. Mr. Senate President, if it is not Plateau, it is Benue. If it is not Benue, it is Katsina. If it is not Katsina, it is Jigawa. If it is not Zamfara, it is Enugu. If it's not Nasarawa, it means, or Taraba, it means Nigeria is in trouble. And I think when you face a challenge as serious as this, there is no point pretending. Distinguished colleagues, when this administration came on board, one of the initial steps that made this government very popular was a change in the leadership of the security system in this country. We all applauded Mr. Senate President that he had started well. And the service chiefs that came before the Senate appeared to be people that are capable of delivering on their mandates collectively. But 6 months down the road, distinguished colleagues, there appears to be no difference from what used to be the case in the preceding administration's tenure. I think there is need for us to call these service chiefs again. Distinguished colleagues, I also escaped death narrowly last few days when I went home for Christmas. I wanted to attend the burial of the mother of one of our traditional rulers in my local government headquarters. In the morning, I had prepared to go to my village. But then suddenly, I just had a change of mind, and I didn't go. Later in the day, there was an attack on Makudi Naka Road, and three persons were killed. Several were attacked. If I traveled to my village on that day, today, I will not be here speaking in these hallowed chambers. So, we are all involved. I don't think there's any part of this country that is spared this problem of insecurity. If there is only one thing this administration will do differently from the previous administration, one will score the Tinubu administration 100%. I think there is need for us as a nation to carry out a national security summit. Let us sit down. We are told that these people are not Nigerians. But then, we have a duty to know where these people are coming from. In my own senatorial district, 3 local government areas out of 7 are already overrun. So, there is a problem. Let us sit down as a nation, let us sit down and talk. If there are people within that are conspiring, even within the security agencies, let us talk. Let us know why we cannot have security in our own country. Mr. Senate President, I join my brothers in Taraba and Plateau State in sympathy over what has happened, and I want to bring the attention of my colleagues to the situation in Benue State, especially in my own senatorial district, so that together we should design a roadmap that will take care of our people, provide security on a permanent basis. Now that we know these people by their names, some are called bandits, some are called terrorists, some are called insurgents, some are called IPOD. So if we know these people, why can't we deal with them? We have their own categorization. Then the approach should also be categorized so that we deal with these situations on their individual basis. With this, my few words, I want to sympathize with all of us. I pray that may God give the Tinubu administration the capacity to ensure that Nigerians sleep in their country with their 2 eyes closed. Thank you, Mr. Senate President, distinguished colleagues.
From the onset, second the motion ably and proficiently canvassed by my very good younger brother, Senator Dickett. Mr. Senate President, permit me to also say a word or two on this particular matter. I was in Bauchi, Mr. Senate President, for my Christmas break when the news broke out, and instantly, on behalf of the Northern Senators Forum, I moved into the Plateau, had 2 sessions with the executive governor of Plateau State before paying a courtesy call with some members of the forum as to the gravity of what happened in Bokos. Mr. President, what happened in Bokos is unprecedented. It is unprecedented. Where you have a catchment of bandits, over 400 of them moving at a go. And when I sat with the governor, the stories I had was mind-boggling. First, there was a rumor of this attack. Second, the governor tried to make this information available, but they didn't take him serious. Sir, I was at Jute Teaching Hospital in Jos, and you could see a 3-month-old baby with a gun wound. 3 months. Some actually beheaded. This is unprecedented. It is important, sir, like I always say, until we see the importance of security as the only survival of this country, we'll never move forward. We need to urgently, sir, call the security agents to question. There's no synergy. Forget that the IG were there, the station security were there. It is important that they are there. But where is the synergy? Sir, as we speak, Plateau State government is in dire need. It's in dire need because right now they are settling more than 150,000 IDPs. They are feeding them. The entire security architecture of the state, they are paying for them. What was discovered? That these marauding bandits are not moving with weapons. Those weapons were actually domiciled in some certain locations. All they do is to come and pick them. That means there is something behind what is happening in Plateau. Who are these people? Who are these people and why are they doing it? Because you go there, sir, from the outside, you thought it's a religious war. None of it. There is something behind it that this Senate must need to unearth. It's a very terrible phenomenon, Mr. Senate President. We have forgotten our humanity. The carnage you've seen, small arguments, small differences. People will kill people in their thousands, in their dozens, and it doesn't touch their conscience. Lastly, sir, what I have also discovered, because I spent 72 hours in Plateau, was the little information about those bandits. They are not living around the communities. Somebody imported them. Somebody escorted them. They don't even know the terrain. They were led by some people who know the terrain. And when you look at the communities, they are now sharply divided. Where Bokos, Barikiladi, even where there were crises, there is no way you will separate Christian and Muslim because they are intermixed. There are communities that are so intermixed. In a family like this, you have Christians and Muslims. They're so intermixed. But what happened on the Christmas Eve? On the Christmas Eve was something that needs to be investigated by security agencies. It should not be just rhetoric. It just not be talks. Sir, anybody who is assigned responsibility as a security chief and he cannot deliver, he must be shown out. The National Assembly are shown out after 4 years, and we even have a recall item in the Constitution. If we cannot deliver, our constituents are asked to recall us, and 4 years we also go for election. We can't keep doing everything all the time and no result. This insecurity is pervading the entire northern atmosphere. It is important, Mr. Senate President, and look at what happened in Anambra too. Sir, let's just sit down as a Senate, as a body, and if possible, sit down, your leadership sit down with the President. Sir, if people could not deliver, let's get people who will deliver. It is irritating. Every day we come here and talk. Every day we come here and talk. Sir, the supplementary budget we passed on issues of security, you go across them, they will tell you they have not gotten anything. You sit down with the security chiefs, they said they don't have anything. Nobody has given them anything. How do we continue this? May the soul of those who lost their lives rest in peace. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator.
The Senate notes that Plateau State, known as a home of peace and tourism, is gradually losing its once peaceful nature and atmosphere due to incessant crises and attacks by marauding criminals. Senate notes also that Mangu, Bokos, and Barkin-Ladi local government areas of Plateau State, located within Plateau North and Plateau Central districts, have consistently come under attack by criminal elements in the last few months, with the recent attack on the 24th of December 2023, which was a Christmas Eve, while many were celebrating the Christmas season, leading to wanton destruction of lives and properties, and a black Christmas for inhabitants of these areas. Senate notes further that this recent attack appears to be a well-coordinated and well-orchestrated, with about 20 villages being attacked simultaneously, leading to the loss of life of about 195 persons, and while still counting, with others having varying degrees of life-threatening injuries and permanent deformities. Aware that the crisis in Plateau State is further exacerbated by the impact of climate change on the environment, the drying up of the Lake Chad, and the mass movement of cattle into Plateau in search of vegetation and fodder, and also the influx of illegal miners who often clash with landowners, this makes the crisis rather complex because of its economic, ethnic, religious coloration. Hence, the need to tighten up the grazing policies and then the mining and environmental laws of the federal and states to checkmate this. However, that the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, upon receiving the news of the crisis, sent a high-powered delegation led by the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Senator Kashim Shettima, in company of the National Security Advisor, the Chief of Defense Staff, and other notable personalities to the crisis areas to assess the situation and also condole the families of the victims of the attack. Further aver that the Chief of Defense Staff and other service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police have acted swiftly by deploying troops to the crisis area. This is also commendable, but a lot more needs to be done to curb further attacks, especially within the rumors of more attacks happening in the coming months, leaving the people in paralyzed fear. This appears to be the trend in recent times, as most of these rumors of attacks often turn out to be true. Hence, the need for enhanced security presence and surveillance. Cognizant that from the previous experiences with the nature of these attacks in so many locations across Nigeria, having a temporary military presence will only bring some cosmetic relief, because in many instances the situation often gets worse once the military operations are over. Also, where the fight is not taken to the criminals by locating and disseminating their hideouts, the crisis will never be over. Plateau State, known for its vegetative and rocky nature, is an easy environment for these criminals to hide and carry out their heinous and nefarious activities. But the terrain is not such a difficult one as to interfere with military surveillance operations, especially with modern military technology like the use of drones and robots, which will help in locating the criminal hideouts and disseminating them in its totality. Further cognizant that despite the temporary relief the victims of the crisis are experiencing due to enhanced military presence, most of them are in dire need of essential supplies, especially food, medicine, clothing, and shelters. Most of them have also lost their means of livelihood and living in fear of unescapable penury. Convinced that the primary responsibility of government is the protection of lives and properties of its citizens and the provision of an enabling environment for citizens to strive, they go about their to enable them go about their lawful duties. Accordingly, resolved to: 1. The Senate need to observe a minute silence at plenary in honor of victims that lost their life. Second, the Senate should send a high-powered delegation led by the uncommon president of the Senate to the crisis areas to condole with the victims. That would be great. Third, Senate should urge the Federal Minister of Humanitarian Affairs to direct its agencies to provide relief materials, especially building materials, to the victims of the crisis with immediate effect, to enable them to relocate back to their homes and to congest the IDP camps. Fourth, urge the Inspector General of Police to complete the already ongoing mobile barracks situated in Barkin Ladi local government area. Fifth, urge the Chief of Defense Staff to establish a mobile military base in Janaret village of Mangu local government area, which is a border point and an entry route for the criminals who commit these barbaric acts and escape freely. 6, urge the Nigerian military to deploy intelligence and aerial surveillance in the affected local government areas of Plateau State and its environments and disseminate the criminals completely or in its totality. 7, urge the Minister of Solid Mineral Development to immediately take action in putting a check on illegal miners and mining activities in the country, especially the affected regions. 8, urge the Plateau State government to strengthen its environmental mining laws to check the excesses of illegal miners in the state. 9, urge the Plateau State government to upscale dialogue between traditional and religious leaders, especially in the affected areas, to find a non-kinetic solution towards coping this crisis. 10, issue such further directives as deemed by the Senate expedient in the circumstance to ensure compliance with these resolutions. Thank you.
It seems that we should invite the Chief of Army Staff, the Inspector General of Police, and the Chief of Air Staff to brief us on what actually happened in Plateau on that Christmas Eve. I would dare to say, including the DG of SSS, because of the intelligence gathering and the police. So I would like Senator Kawu, please, if you can second that motion, but please list out the list of the service chiefs that must come in a closed session to brief this Senate on this kind of gruesome murders.
Moved by distinguished Senator Adams Ashimole to invite all the service chiefs, additional prayer or amended prayer to invite all the service chiefs, DGSS, Inspector General of Police, and the NSA National Security Advisor to come and brief the Senate on NIA and NIA, DG NIA, to come and brief the Senate. I so second, Mr. President.
Point of order.
Appears to have been very, very well coordinated with local collaborators. The bandits did not come with weapons. The weapons were already deposited in the various villages they attacked. So even if you stop them on the road, they will say they are ordinary Nigerians or they are ordinary citizens just going about their normal businesses. But when they arrive the places that they are targeting, they will now go to where the weapons are. So it also means that there is need for us to improve on intelligence gathering. And definitely the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is new, but this is multifaceted. Senator Plank said it has something to do with ethnicity. In some instances, religious connotation. In some instances, financial and commercial connotation because of mining purposes. And that may account for the idea of wiping out children so that they will not come back to ask for their father's lands. So we won't discuss everything here because there will be need to stop them from occupying those places that they have wiped out the indigenes. In case the intention is for them to take over the land and start mining activities without let or hindrance. But let me hear from the former governor of Plateau State, who himself is a son of the soil, distinguished Senator Lalong.
Mr. President was almost summarizing everything. Yes, I will not start with Plateau. I will say that it is entirely in the northern states. By virtue of my privilege to be chairman of the Northern Governors Forum for 4 years, when there were similar things all over the country. But with particular reference to Plateau, I heard the report from the military this morning. I will say that I was disappointed. Disappointed how? Because part of it was that why they couldn't deal with the situation in Mangu and Bokos was because of proximity and of course also the terrain. And I asked the question, for a military, for armed forces, there is nothing like terrain. There is nothing like distance. In Plateau State, because of several crises, we have proliferation of outfits. We have the creation of Operation Safe Haven, all funded by the state government. We have the Operation Rainbow, funded by state government. That is increase in the capacity. Of recent, we created the Kerang Rescue, which is an Air Force base with helicopters. The issue of Mangu, many people were killed around Kerang. Where was the Air Force? Where are the helicopters? Today, sir, we discussed about Tucano jets. We are told that Tucano jets are not available. We discussed about drones. The drones are available. My spirit is that we must first of all deal with the criminals, because before we come back to deal with the internal situation. Yes, like every society, we have conflicts. We have religious conflicts and differences. We have ethnic conflicts and differences. But when a dimension like this comes into effect, it calls the attention of Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Because the killings that were done in systematic manner. But as we move in, I don't think that the role of the military is always to employ kinetic. We discussed that in Kaduna and we came to resolution that as much as we go into kinetic, we must also dwell on non-kinetic methods in settling disputes in these various states. And if it was so, it took a long time. This information is not the first. This attack is not the first. Always on Christmas Eve. Always on Christmas Eve. So as we move into this kind of thing, I also want to support, because the bill failed last time. Mr. President, if you give permission, we are bringing it back again. The role of traditional rulers in security. Let us give them constitutional roles. I'm not saying that we must always talk about state police, but we have traditional rulers that can always produce solutions to this kind of problems. We brought a law and the law failed last time. But I am here. I will still sponsor another law, and with the help of the Senate, let us give some roles to our traditional council on addressing issues of security. As I said, dialogue is very, very important. We created peace building, yes, we created interreligious council. We know the terrain of Plateau State. It may not be like Benue, but in Plateau State, a little skirmishes of traditional or even a family dispute may always move into a religious conclusion. And then you have this dimension of crisis. But however, it is not insurmountable. And with this present Senate, and the way Mr. President of the Senate is taking the issue, I agree with Senator Nangi and also with my Senator Decade Plan, that first of all, let us go back to address the issues. Mr. President, those who were displaced in 2021 have not been returned to their places because the land is devastated. The place, there is no way. I kept on hammering that if we created the Northeast Development Commission, we are now about creating the Southeast Development Commission. If you want to address the issues of insecurity in the North Central and part of the North, then we must also go to look at the possibility of creating a North Central Development Commission. That is the only way we can bring back our people. Otherwise, an angry man, a man who is displaced from his place for more than 10 years is always an angry man, So we are talking about giving money today. That money will not even send those who are displaced in 2021. That will not bring those who are displaced in 2001. But there is a lot to be done. But like I said, let us call back the military to order. That is not a reason to say that 100 people and something people will be killed. Because I know that in those settlements there are Operation Safe Haven. They have outfits there that are being funded by government. And this matter is very serious. And on behalf of the good people of Plateau State, once again, I thank the Senate, thank Mr. President and the Senate for looking at this issue and making quick consideration to save the lives of the people of Plateau State. And I so move. Thank you, sir.
I think you have more or less captured everything, being a son of the soil and a former governor.